tips. Monica, you mentioned a little bit earlier about resume faults. So I'm looking for suggestions that you have. So you mentioned also informational interviews, and obviously volunteering is a topic that has come up a number of times this evening. But so job seeking tips, including the resumes. My 14-year-old daughter pointed out to me that when she downloaded a song from the movie Grease, that it said that it's the name of the song is "You're the One That I Want," and she had to point out to me that the "your" was the wrong "your" on iTunes, which I thought was amusing. So those kind of things, sometimes people get like the typos are an issue, but other things like white hot 69chick@hotmail.com may not be the preferred email address to put on your resume. Other kind of suggestions that you have in that range would be useful. So we'll start with you, Sheila.
So I don't know what's obvious and what's not obvious.
Go with all of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely the typos is a really good one. So when we put out a job, and which I hope we're able to do within the next year or so, we'll get a bunch of applications back. And so the things that when we start screening, the first screening is like, did these people even read the job description? Are they just sending out the resume? So when you send out a resume, if you really are serious about getting a job in this field, read the job description really carefully, and then put down the appropriate, sure everybody has a lot of different experiences, but really try to tailor your experiences to whatever they're asking you to do. And then, even if you don't have a lot of experience in the area that you're trying to get into, in your cover letter, at least make a suggestion that, again, you've read the job description, so it doesn't look like it's a pat, cover letter, because, again, that gets kind of tossed out. Like this person really doesn't want to live here, I was about to say, which is like a subliminal slip, but, and so that, I think, is the first kind of key. And then the second screening that we do is like, besides have they read the job description, then people always send resumes and they really don't have the exact fit of what we're asking for. And we know that sometimes what we're asking for is probably maybe too big or is pretty esoteric, in terms of like, do you have program director skills? Are we looking for a program director? And you have to be good with people and some kind of technical background and know how to work on it. It's pretty kind of diverse skills. So I think it's good to just at least pick one or two areas that you can say that you shine in. And then, again, look at our website. See what we do. So even if you get the interview, a lot of times we find like, do they even look at our website? So I think it's really important if you really are seriously seeking a job at an organization, kind of target that organization and say, I like what they do. Read their website really clearly and indicate that you know what they do, in your first kind of presentation to them, which is the resume. And that includes like at least finding some type of job experience that's related to it. The other thing is that it's a very small community, whether you're in social justice, and we deal with social justice groups all the time. I've been in recycling for like 20, I hate to say it, I love my field, but I've been doing it for a long time. And so I know a lot of the people that work in the recycling field. So even if you can just kind of suggest that you've done work at the Ecology Center or that you're engaged somehow with Gaia, it makes a difference, And so I think that's the other issue, and that really has been a go, no-go for a lot of the resumes, is like, are they familiar at all with the area that they're going to be working in? Have they shown, like we talked about earlier, the commitment? And that really gets your foot in the door to get a resume. To get the interview. Mm-hmm. And then the interview's something different. But I think those are really the key things that we're looking for.
Okay. How about we'll go to you, Martin, for
tips. I think that references are pretty important for us. It's, in this legalistic world that we live in, it's often hard to get an employer to expand on a reference. Because basically what HR departments tell you as an employee in your company is that the only information you should give out is, did they work for you? How long did they work for you? And maybe, how much did they make?
And they're eligible for rehab. Maybe.
Right. But a lot of times when you start talking to a reference, if they like you and they have a positive experience with you, they will go beyond that. And so having those people as references who are willing to go beyond answering those 3 or maybe 4 questions can make a big difference. Also, you know, when jobs come up, people ask around and they say, hey, do you know anybody who can, who could really nail this? This is what we're looking for. So if there's people that you know who are networked, and letting them know that I'm looking for a job in this area, and just, being out there in that way, I think, then somebody goes, oh, actually, I do know somebody. That can be very helpful, either in finding the opportunity or in, having, at least a way that I think the personal reference is really important. We start with qualifications, so our job descriptions are written based on what do we need exactly for this job. You've got to have those minimum qualifications. If you don't, all the networking in the world, isn't going to help. But from there, they're usually a pretty decent pool of folks, and from there it's going to be what's the right fit. And so, and that's a two-way street. It's like courting in a certain level. That first interview and the second interview and the follow-up interview and the reference check, that's all sort of, it's kind of like dating in a certain way. You really want to check each other out before you get in too deep. And I'm going to look and see, like, what does somebody's Facebook page look like? I'm going to Google them and see what pops up and see what have they been involved in and what are they interested in. I'm going to do some, basic recon just to see sort of, what's their path and their trail in the world. And if they've got references, I'm going to ask broad, open-ended questions and try and just see what comes out of that conversation. If there's things that you've done that you think are worth highlighting and they're not popping up on a Google search, you might want to figure out how to search optimize that thing so that when somebody's punching in your name, that report you did for somebody else, or that other project you worked on, or that press release, or whatever thing happened comes up. Like Sheila said, I really think doing your recon on the organization, you don't want to get excited about a job and then find out that the organization really sucks, or just is a very poor fit for you. Right? It's easy to get excited about a new job and then you get in it and you find out it's not really a match. We've been through situations like that, certainly, where we're both really excited and it turns out, guess what, this just is not a good fit. So, save everybody and yourself in particular the pain of going through that experience, and really look at the organization. And when you're in the interview, there's usually a point in the interview where the employer asks you, so do you have any questions for us? This isn't the time for you to whip out the Inquisition list, but you can ask some very telling questions and learn some things about the organization's culture by the way that things are being responded to. Knowing the website, having visited the site or having some exposure to their programmatic work, so you should certainly be not only looking at their website but Googling them and seeing where do they pop up in the news, and what are the things that they've been involved in, and is that something you want to be a part of or not. Really we hope that by the time we're into second interview, or narrowed our pool, that we're dealing with people who are checking us out as much as we're checking them out. We don't want to hire somebody who's and get them trained, and then 2 months later they're going to say, you know what, this just really isn't for me, or we're going to, you know, find out after the fact that, wow, they really aren't the right person, even though they're totally qualified for the job, and then, you know, you're in a sort of challenging HR scenario or something. Just, you know, look at it as courting.
Monica?
I think, I mean, to support everything that you both said, I think, in addition, I know, like I said before, I know this is a really hard economy, and I have a lot of friends and people that I know who've been looking for jobs for a long time, and I, you know, it like, I've been listening to this through their lens and thinking, man, that sounds depressing and hard, because I know people who are looking in lots of different sectors at once. You know, because in this economy, can you have the luxury of looking just in, say, nonprofit advocacy or recycling? Probably not. But if you're really passionate about recycling, I mean, I guess what I would add to what you said would be, you know, taking advantage of NICRA, which is a great resource, which, you know, Rebecca talked about at the beginning, but going to meetings, there's meetings every month. There's a really awesome tour every month to go look at an interesting site. I wish I haven't been going as much lately because I now have a family, but when I was on the board, I would go every month, and it was amazing, the different, you know, you get to, you get exposed to different facilities, you get to meet different people, then you can hang out and have dinner. It's like a gift. It's a great networking opportunity every month. And then, like you said, the other events that NICRA has are great opportunities. If you feel like recycling and zero waste and composting and advocacy and all those things that go with that are for you, then I would definitely at least, you know, check out and see if NICRA is a place where you might make those connections, because that networking piece really is so critical. And I know that's the part that sounds so overwhelming, because when you're looking for a job in a lot of different fields, how can you be networked in every single field all at once? It's crazy. You know, it's really hard. But if you're really passionate about this one, I think that that the recycling sector in the Bay Area has something really unique with NICRA that a lot of different other sectors don't have. You know, an open place with great professionals from a lot of different fields who come together every month and go tour different things and talk together. So that would be my plug for this sector in particular.
So for tomorrow, in fact, NICRA is taking a tour of the South Bay Waste Management Authority, which is down in San Carlos, or is it Redwood City? San Carlos. And it's a monster, brand new sorting facility for many of the communities that are on the peninsula. It's brand new and it's beautiful. And it's you don't actually understand what recycling is when talking about whole communities, discarded materials ganging up together, and somebody has to kind of look through it and make sense of it all. You don't understand what that means until you go through one of these Rube Goldberg machines that's the size of a city block. And this one's brand new, so it's got some, it's not got, you know, 6 inches of dust on it. So I would encourage you to go.
Also, I would just add to that, the California Resource Recovery Association is the California-wide association of recycling professionals, I guess you would say, and their conference is in August, at the August 5th to 8th, 5th to 9th, right here at the Oakland Marriott, and it's not cheap, but I think there are some ways to get in for a day or something. I would say that's another great way to get exposure to a lot of topics and meet a lot of different people and network. Even just going to the reception or something like that would be worthwhile. Certainly if I was doing an interview on a related topic and somebody said, oh yeah, I went to CRRA, I would be like, oh, okay. So, you know, first of all, you knew that this organization existed. You made an effort and took the time and spent the money to go, and you probably learned some really important things and probably met some people who are going to be important in our work. So, you know, all of that is valuable. The other one, obviously, you mentioned the Recycle Up.